Every year, these streets are filled with people waiting to get a taste of chili. This year's chili night was canceled due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but the community still has another option. And we are about to put a frozen turkey into hot oil. Now, I will give you guys a heads up. It is freezing out here. We had a little trouble trying to get this oil nice and hot, so it may not blow like we are expecting, but it might. So we're going to show you what not to do with your turkey. So now once you're here, they're going to bring you to this tent over here where you'll be screened. Your temperature will be taken and they'll see if you have any respiratory symptoms like a cough. If you do not have both of those things, you will not be tested. Riley Natalie Cochran entered a plea agreement with prosecuting attorneys, but as Mike Stewart said, she did not get off scot-free. But I'm going to use this paint right here to show you how thoroughly you should be washing your hands. So I'm going to put as much in as you would think you would need to cover both hands. And then I'm going to scrub it like everyone else does. And he said that they want to stand in solidarity with those healthcare workers. And even a fire truck had to leave while we were standing here to go tend to a fire, and they just got back just so they can say hi and give support to those healthcare workers in our community. And since we've been standing here, the water behind me has really gone down significantly, so hopefully some of those roads are seeing some clear as well. Poll workers were able to count those and get them out to candidates. Now, there were about 30,000 people who voted in Fayette County, so a great turnout for them. If someone is wearing a mask, and say maybe some sunglasses, and changes up their look even just a bit, it can be hard to identify them. Custodians are required to clean the classroom 2 to 3 times a day. A strong female figure inspired a little girl in the neighborhood.
She'd always come around, on her way to her house, she'd pick all of us kids up and let us ride to her house with her. So ever since then, it's just been a dream of mine.
Lauren Birchfield was recently sworn in with 5 others as a new Beckley police officer. She wanted to join the force after watching Captain Sherry Mullins of the Beckley Police Department.
And really around here, you don't see a lot of female cops. So that was always something like, oh, she can do it, I can too.
And now she wants to be a role model for other girls in her community.
I want them to be able to see me and realize that they can also do these big careers, something to really be proud of. If they don't want to go to college, if they don't want to do a desk job, I want them to see that there's things for them too.
Birchfield was only an officer for a day when the news of a Charleston officer shot in the line of duty spread. She then heard it was Cassie Johnson, a fellow female officer.
I definitely think it hits closer to home, especially since there's not a lot of us anyways.
Now she's even more determined to put her life on the line.
It's a huge eye-opener to realize this is not just a job. This is, this is a lifestyle. We're out here putting our lives on the line every day. That's just part of the job, though.
Improved woman can do it all. Reporting in Beckley, Paris Dunford, 59 News. For more than 2 months, West Virginia State Police and other law enforcement agencies searched for the missing girl, Azariah Mitchell. On Tuesday, her body was found in another state. Jalacia Bass and Stephen Lawson were arrested on Wednesday in connection to her murder. We've learned more information about the suspect's relationship to the victim. Troopers tell us Lawson is the father of Mitchell's 7-month-old baby. We're also told the investigation started after Bass and Mitchell got into a fight in an apartment in Summers County.
2 suspects that were mentioned had an altercation with the victim that led into our victim losing her life.
They say the body was then moved across state lines.
The 2 then gathered up the victim and transported her across state lines and they concealed her outside the state.
Bass was charged with conspiracy, murder in the 2nd degree, and concealment of a deceased body. Lawson was charged with conspiracy, accessory to murder, and concealment of the deceased body as well. Details are limited at this time since it is still an ongoing investigation. But troopers say this was not the outcome they had hoped for, especially for the family.
Sergeant Mitchell and I traveled and met with the family today and had to share that devastating and tragic loss of a child, and just the pain that they had to endure there. No parent should have to endure that.
Reporting in Beckley, Paris Dunford, 59 News. A man was finally indicted for the murder of Cynthia Miller, a huge win for the police departments that investigated this case and for anyone who knew Miller. Take a look.
She was so kind-hearted.
Remembering Cynthia Miller. On August 27, 1981, the Raleigh County teacher was found dead with gunshot wounds in her home on her wedding day. It was a murder that captivated the people of Raleigh County, especially her students.
Oh my gosh, they still haven't figured that out,
And for almost 40 years, detectives with the Beckley Police Department sifted through piles of evidence. The case was reopened in 2017 and was assigned to a task force of detectives from Beckley PD and the West Virginia State Police.
Detective Bragg came to my my door and said, okay, we're ready.
In October, a small piece of justice was granted. Earl Robbins was indicted for first-degree murder. He is currently incarcerated in California and will need to be brought back to Raleigh County to face trial. And although further details of this case and the investigation were not released at this time, detectives on the case say this is a huge breakthrough.
I'd have to say there's not much more excitement for a police officer than to solve a case like this, and it took a lot of teamwork, it took a lot of efforts.
And it's a win for the people who knew and loved Cynthia Miller.
It's just, what a blessing.
A 40-year-old cold case solved, justice for Cynthia Miller. And Robbins was also indicted at the same time for the kidnapping, abduction, and sexual assault of a minor in Raleigh County. It is unclear how long it will be until trial.